Hello everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here, because there is good in this world, and it's worth fighting for.
Where once was light, now darkness falls. Where once was love, love is no more. Don't say goodbye. Don't say I didn't try.
So for my 200th episode of Up From the Underground, when they had announced the release of the DVD and Blu-ray of the extended edition of The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, I promised you that I would do the second installment in this trilogy of throwback videos, so today we're going to review Peter Jackson's directed The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, of course based on the novel of the same name, created by J.R.R. Tolkien. Now, two interesting things when it comes to The Two Towers. This movie was wrapped in controversy for two reasons. One, because of the fact that this movie was being released very soon after the 9/11 attacks. Because of the film's name, The Two Towers, some people were hearing that they were planning on changing the name to not bring up some bad memories. I didn't expect that to actually happen. But one of the other major controversial issues that happened when it comes to this movie is the fact that this was the first time in which Peter Jackson added to the movie. Not took away, but added. And I don't really want to spoil too much of the movie, but most of it revolved around the Battle of Helm's Deep because of the fact that there were elves that were actually fighting in the battle. When I went to see this movie, I really wasn't too keen on it, but then of course with the extended editions, I had a feeling that I was going to like it a lot more when the extended edition came because it felt like there were a lot of big gaping holes, and it was just a matter of releasing the extended edition to actually fill in those gaps with the scenes that you wanted to see, with the character development, and a little bit more. And that's what you get. In the end, The Two Towers ends up being a fantastic follow-up to Fellowship of the Ring. A great follow-up in regards to the cast. One of the few cast members I didn't mention in the last review was Orlando Bloom, because even though he does make his first appearance in Fellowship of the Ring, it's The Two Towers where he really shines. Whether it's sliding down a flight of stairs on a shield as a surfboard, or climbing onto a horse in the most mystical and coolest of ways, this was basically where Legolas shined and Orlando Bloom basically became a superstar. But of course you also add to the cast with an unknown Carl Urban as Éomer, who now has ended up in films like Dredd and the Star Trek franchise. Miranda Otto, who plays his sister Éowyn. Bernard Hill, who plays Theoden. And for some strange reason, this is what I love about these movies so much, because some of these cast members are cast in such crazy obscurity, and I think one of the most obscure of them was Brad Dourif, who has voiced the legendary character Chucky in the Child's Play franchise to play Grima Wormtongue, Saruman's right-hand man. You also have John Rhys-Davies, who has played Gimli, taking up another role as Treebeard, the Ent, which was probably one of the few things that I was really excited to see, and especially with the extended edition, there's so much more to this specific character and his interactions with Merry and Pippin, which makes him all the more better and makes the whole race of Ents so much more enjoyable to watch. And of course you had an unknown David Wenham playing Faramir, another character who really doesn't have much of a role in the book itself, but Peter Jackson really elaborated on his character to make him more relatable and make him more of a significant piece to the story. Also, Sean Bean, who's always been shafted, of course, the same thing happens to him in Lord of the Rings because he plays the character of Boromir, but Peter Jackson really does do nice things by giving an additional scene in the extended edition, which also includes John Noble, who plays Boromir and Faramir's father, Denethor. And of course, Andy Serkis playing Gollum. You really see the special effects and the beauty of the motion capture when a digital, and Peter Jackson just did wonders with Andy Serkis to bring this phenomenal character to life, and even though he's a computer digital character, you just see so much life, and you see emotions in the eyes, and the way that he looks at the camera, and the way that he interacts with the characters. You see just incredible things from Gollum. A great movie as far as special effects and scenery, of course, the whole breathtaking Fangorn forest, and of course the castle of Edoras in Rohan, and of course Helm's Deep itself. Just so much more from Fellowship. It really brings the story forward and really makes it so much more, and the score of Howard Shore is just as powerful, this time adding strings as opposed to the Fellowship of the Ring, which adds a little bit more woodwinds. There's always a specific instrument that is elaborated more in regards to each of these separate scores. But the additions of Peter Jackson in this movie really don't take away from the story. I think one of the interesting things was when I read this book, it was my favorite book in the trilogy, and it was because of the fact that they split the story into two pieces. One was the story of Sam and Frodo and Gollum and their travels to the Black Gates of Mordor, and then there was the story of Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn as they are encountering Rohan and trying to take down Saruman and the Uruk-hai in Helm's Deep. They couldn't really do that in this movie. You had to weave these two stories together, and even though there are a lot of people that had their beef with this movie, I feel in the end everybody really did end up loving it, especially thanks to the extended edition, which I will always elaborate on because it was something that was never done before, and Peter Jackson has really continued in this trilogy to just turn it into something truly special. I'm giving The Two Towers 3.5 out of 4. So, thank you very much for watching the second installment. The Return of the King review will be done around the time that The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies gets released. As you also know, the name has changed. In my previous video, it was still called There and Back Again, but when The Battle of the Five Armies does hit theaters, or right when it's about to hit theaters, I will make sure that I have seen Return of the King and give you guys a review, close out the special Throwback Trilogy. So thank you guys for watching. 200 episodes. That's a real feat, guys, and I'm looking forward to another 100 more. So take care, throw your comments in the box below, and actions speak louder than words.
I see fire.